The shadow would follow. After the fall of Nargothrond, the land of Beleriand grew darker. The once hidden kingdom now lay in ruins, its halls broken and silent beneath the shadow of the dragon Glaurung. Among the ashes of that destruction wandered Túrin Turambar, a man already haunted by loss. Everywhere he went, tragedy followed. His friend Cabed-en-Aras had died by his hand in a moment of terrible mistake. The elven princess, Finwelis, had died calling his name. And now the dragon, who had destroyed an entire kingdom, still lived. But Túrin's story was not yet finished. Far away in the forests of Brethil, destiny was preparing the final act of his tragic fate. For the dragon would rise again, and when he did, Túrin would finally face the monster who had ruined his life. The forest of Brethil, seeking escape from war and sorrow, Túrin Turambar traveled south to the deep woods of Brethil. They lived the people known as the Haladin, hardy men who had survived countless battles against the forces of Morgoth. They welcomed Túrin among them. In time, he became their captain and protector. Under his leadership, the orcs that wandered near the forests were driven back again and again. For a brief moment in his cursed life, Túrin found something close to peace. But fate had not finished its design. Somewhere in the north, the dragon stirred, and when Glaurung moved once more, his path would lead directly toward Brethil, toward Túrin.
The dragon returns. News spread rapidly across the wide expanses of Beleriand. The enigmatic and powerful dragon of Angband had begun to make its way again. Villages and towns were engulfed in flames. Forests were meticulously consumed by the fiery beast. The dreaded and terrifying form of Glaurung began to crawl across the land like a living mountain of flames. The people of Brethil were left in utter disarray and dismay. However, little did they know, the heroic Túrin was not at all afraid of the mighty dragon. For years he had harbored a deep-seated yearning for revenge. He knew that someday their paths would cross yet again. And this time around, he was determined to succeed where others had failed. He would not be tricked or misled by the seemingly irresistible creature. This time, he was prepared to shed his blood and liquidate the monster once and for all.
The plan of the ravine, Túrin was well aware that he was unable to triumph over the dragon in a direct confrontation. Thus, he opted for a place known as Cabed-en-Aras, a treacherous gorge that was carved out by a notorious rushing river. The passage was indeed incredibly narrow if the dragon were to venture through there. Its vulnerable belly would certainly come into contact with the sharp edges of the gorge. Hidden away beneath the jagged cliffs, Túrin had personally prepared an impenetrable ambush. In his possession, he carried the formidable black blade Gurthang, which was expertly forged from the dark and almost magical metal of Anglachil. This sword had already tasted the blood of many a formidable foe, and it was only a matter of time before it would taste the blood of a dragon too.
The coming of fire. The planet Earth shook as Glaurung made his way towards the narrow ravine. His massive body glided slowly, crushing trees and stones alike with ease. Flames burst forth from his mouths as he approached. Water surged from below as the river responded to the heat from above. Staying concealed beneath the cliffs, Túrin Turambar observed everything from his perch. Each beat of his heart echoed like thunder within his chest. This pivotal moment had been carefully orchestrated for years. The fate of his existence hung in the balance, just a few short steps away from him. The strike, as the dragon fiercely crossed the rugged ravine. Túrin promptly leaped from the shadowy depths. Utilizing all his formidable strength, he skillfully drove Gurthang upward into the gentle belly of the fearsome beast. The sword confidently pierced deep. A tremendous amount of black blood poured rapidly from the deeply wound. The mighty dragon fiercely roared in appalling agony. The majestic mountains seemed to tremor and shake. For the very first time in centuries, the legendary father of dragons had succumbed to mortally wounded. The dying dragon. Even though Glaurung was about to die, he remained incredibly dangerous. His enormous body violently thrashed in agony, smashing rocks and trees with every ounce of its strength. And with his ultimate determination, the dragon finally spoke for the last time. His shimmering golden eyes discovered a woman who had sincerely followed Túrin to the desolate ravine. She was widely recognized as Niënor. However, her actual name was actually Niënor, and with a single cold and calculating gaze, the dragon unleashed the powerful spell that had concealed her genuine memories. The event unfolded. In that single appalling instant, Niënor recalled everything that occurred: her past, her family members, her sibling, and the individual she had married. The truth presented itself as unbearable. The person she cherished was her own sibling?
The leap of despair, fueled by overwhelming horror, Niënor sprinted towards the edge of the treacherous ravine, clutching onto the hand of Tirion. Racing towards her, Túrin called out to her. However, it was already too late. With a heart-stopping last cry, she dove headfirst into the deep, dark waters below. The curse placed by Morgoth reached its most horrifying and destructive moment. The intensity of the water washed away the remnants of her fear and despair, leaving her with a newfound resilience and determination. The horror that had once consumed her had been replaced with a fierce determination to survive. She was no longer bound by the chains of Morgoth's curse, and she was relentless in her pursuit of freedom.
The end of the curse. When Túrin Turambar finally discovered the truth, despair choked him off. His existence had turned into nothing but a bleak nightmare. Every triumph had become a bitter disappointment. Every glimmer of hope had led to the utter ruin. And so, he took matters into his own hands, heading back to his trusted sword, Glaurung. Plunging upon its sharp edge, he closed his life forever. Thus came to an end the tale of the most tragic figure in all the wonderful legends of Middle-earth.